Are getting ready to do our book review. And in this case, you've been thinking about the book that you have in mind. You've been looking at some of the really interesting events that have happened in it. You've also been looking at some of the vocabulary and description that your author has been using in order to draw you in as a reader. Now you are going to get a chance to do a draft of your book review. And this is kind of like a pre-write. You can basically use this and put it together and read off of it almost like a script for your Flipgrid video that you're going to be making. So I've got a book here. I've got The Wild Robot. It's one of my favorites. It's by an author named Peter Brown. And so I went through the same process that you're going to go through. So first two questions are really self-explanatory. What's the name of the book? And what is the author of the book? You can find those on the cover. Next is list 2 to 4 main events in the story. You can go a little further. I found it kind of challenging. I got 4 and then I kind of wanted to do a fifth, but you don't want to list everything that happens because you want to give the reader a taste of what is happening in the story so that they themselves will want to go read it. Don't necessarily tell them exactly what happens in the end, but give enough detail in the beginning, give an idea about what the big part of the plot is, meaning what's the big problem for the story. In this case, for me, it's about Roz the robot, and she's in a shipping container on the ship. When the ship is shipwrecked, she now has to try and survive on the island. These two kind of come together, so they could probably be one piece here. I could have probably added another. Later on in the movie, or not in the movie, in the book, she becomes the mother to Bright Bill, who's a young bird who lost his mother. Bright Bill opens his eyes and at one point goes, Mama? And Roz really kind of famously in this case, as one part of it, Roz, after looking up and looking at it, gotta go try and find it here, um, says, "Hi, I'm Razum, 7582," which is really quite funny because he's Roz, the uh, the robot doesn't really have a whole lot of personality in this case. Doesn't really seem like it has a lot of personality. Alas. Later on, she makes friends with the animals and gets attacked by the bear and loses part of her leg. And then finally is has to save the island from people coming back to get her. And then down here on the bottom, I've got a part. What is the rating of your book? This part you can rate from anywhere from 1 to 5 stars. You can also do half stars in between. Here, I rated it as 5 stars. I love this book. Again, you want to be kind of careful when you hand those out. You don't want to hand out 5 stars to literally everything. Otherwise, maybe you just do love everything. But I do think that there's some variance. Some books are maybe going to be 3.5 stars. Some might be 4 or 4.5 stars. This for me is a favorite book of mine. I really love it. The next book, The Wild Robot Returns, is also great. And then on the bottom, you got to talk about why you love the book. What is it about it that you liked, and what was maybe a good part? In this case, this part when Roz and the animals work together to create lodges to survive the winter. The animals have been out in the cold, and Roz invites the animals in. And I love this because they go in and they're wishing that they can survive, and they hadn't had any lodges before because there had been a big fire. Roz convinces them to build some other lodges and helps them save them from the cold. And then the final part is why should they read it? In this case, I want to think about it is a really funny story. Roz is neat and always talks like a robot, which is funny to contrast, kind of compare and contrast, um, with animals who seem more like us. Animals take on personality you'd think they would. Chit chat, chit chat. Squirrel acts exactly the way you'd think a squirrel would. And this is going to give me some information so that later on, when I go on to using Flipgrid, I'll be able to read or use this as really just kind of my basis, almost like a script, if you will. So as you're going today, I want you to go through, fill this out, get your information down so that tomorrow you're ready to record a video about the book that you are recommending for others to read.